Hey guys, welcome back to the IO channel, and in today's video, after another week of incredible European football in which Portugal finally realized that playing a CDM in their position is actually going to allow your players up the field have some freedom, we saw England once again put us to sleep in another boring draw, and Spain are continuing to cook at this tournament as Nico Williams is showing his true talent to the world. But amidst all the excitement of the tournament, and the thing I love the most about international football is the way in which it's purely just vibes. You know, there's not too much tactics because you don't have much time to really sit down with your team and sit down with the manager and try and come up with a tactical plan. It's really all about individual quality and who is the better team on the day. Amidst all of that, the player that I wanted to pinpoint in Germany's 2-0 victory over Hungary, a very dominant, clear-cut victory, was the man on everybody's lips, Toni Kroos. Now, of course, we've all seen the numbers, we've all seen the statistics. Toni Kroos has completed 134 passes. Toni Kroos has 95% passing success rate. But the question that I've always had is, what does Toni Kroos actually do with all these passes? Are these passes just stat padding passes in which he's passing the ball sideways to his other center midfielder or just backwards to the goalkeeper or center back? Or is he actually doing something substantial with these passes? So to answer that question, I watched the entire Germany-Hungary game back. I watched every single pass that Toni Kroos completed in the game. Yep, all 134 of them. And I analyzed what the purpose of those passes were in the state of the game. Now, don't say that I don't do anything for you guys because this took me a very long time. But before we get into that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share the video with anybody you think might be interested in the content I make. Where on YouTube are you going to find content like this? Who else is going to watch Toni Kroos' entire match and watch every single pass that he completed in 90 minutes? Nobody else is doing it. Make sure you like and subscribe, share the videos as I said before, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Toni Kroos and any other team at this tournament. Let's get right into it. Now, to help me give you guys an idea of what it was that I saw throughout the game, we're going to be using a tactics board. Now, it is a bit makeshift, bear with me, but of course, I'm going to use this to try and send my ideas across to you guys with visual pictures, because YouTube would take me down if I was to show you videos. This is in BBC, this is in BT Sport, this is in CBS, this is YouTube. They will take my video down, I assure you of that. But as I was saying before, we get right into it. Excuse me if I'm looking to this side, screen's on this side. But we get into it, you see Germany in their typical build-up phase. 3 defenders at the back, 3 players across the line in front of them, 3 players in front of those 3 in Musiala, Gundogan, and Florian Wirtz, and Kai Havertz being the lone striker. As we said it before, it's complete madness from Julian Nagelsmann to be playing this intricate of a system in an international tournament, but it works. There's a method to the madness. Now we can see our man in question, Toni Kroos, in the left center back position as he was throughout the game, but also roam close to Andrić, as we'll continue to see. He is essentially their 100-touch man. I've told you guys before, any elite team that wants to dominate the ball needs a 100-touch man. And in this game he had over 100 touches with 147. Yes, 147 touches for Toni Kroos in this game. He was completely everywhere. And for you to have that many touches, you actually need to be in the right position constantly throughout the game. His positioning in the field is so deep, he doesn't need to be athletic. His athletic deficiencies that we all know about are not taken advantage of because he's in a position where he's protected by his other teammates. He can scope the field and kind of see where his teammates are. Here he can see everybody on the field. He isn't in the area of the field where he has to take 1-2 quick touches like Gundogan or Florian Wirtz. Instead, he's in a position farther back where he can take touches, he can take his time and see where he wants the team to move next. And we see it in everything he does in the game. You look at the next part. Here, 25th minute, we see him with İlkay Gundogan. And if you look very closely, you can see him and Gundogan kind of telling each other to calm down. Because in tournaments like this, it's very easy for your emotions to get the best of you. But Toni Kroos is always there, keeping everybody in check, keeping everybody ticking. And on top of that, when this guy has the ball, everybody's moving. Everybody's constantly looking for, how can I make a run that will move this defender out of position, that will allow Kroos to play this pass to this person. And you can see it in the way that he completes his passes. You look at the short passes throughout the game. Here with Robert Andrić, he comes deep, he plays it to Jonathan Tah, drags the defender out of position. Robert Andrić is given space. In this position, Jonathan Tah didn't play the ball to Andrić, but if he was to, you would see how that would develop into an attack. You move on to the next one. You see Toni Kroos here. He's playing the ball, he's playing deep. He's the midfielder here. Plays it right to Jonathan Tah. He had the option to go to Robert Andrić, but he played it to Jonathan Tah. And that's why it's a very important thing that by having Toni Kroos so deep on the field, he gives the opposition a very, very daunting task. Because Do you press Toni Kroos, which is already pretty pointless in itself because he is pretty much press resistant, and by pressing him you kind of leave gaps, as we showed in the previous picture with Andrick and Jonathan Tah. You leave space and you open gaps in your team. But then at the same time, if you don't press him, it's gonna lead to him picking out a killer pass, which we'll see later on in the video. But you look at the way he drags people out of position, plays it to Jonathan Tah. It looks like a pointless pass, but it drags somebody out of position. It makes somebody do something that opens space for somebody else. You move on to the next one here. Constantly, as I said before, you need to be providing support for your teammates. He plays the ball to Robert Andrick. Robert Andrick recognizes the press, recognizes the threat. Toni Kroos as well. He's not just admiring the pass that he's played, he's moving. He receives the ball back from Robert Andrick, plays it to Musiala, and then this led to Musiala playing the ball to, I believe, Robert Andrick, and then Robert Andrick then switched the play and Germany were on their way. Again, here he is playing deep, not playing the left center back, but playing as a central defensive midfielder, providing that support for Manuel Neuer, providing that cover, allowing Manuel Neuer to have an option where he's being pressed. Because before this, there was nobody supporting Manuel Neuer. There was no passing option for the goalkeeper. But Toni Kroos provides himself and creates that triangle with Antonio Rudiger, plays it to the right side, and Antonio Rudiger moves the ball forward for Germany. It's the little things, but if he's not there, who's going to be there? If he's not there, who is actually going to be there? But Toni Kroos is always there. And that's why he has 100 passes. That's why he has 100 touches. That's why he has 20 plus progressive passes per game, because he's always in the right position. And by being in the right position, you give your team an outlet. You need an outlet throughout the field, whether it's a winger who can beat his man 1v1, whether it's a striker who can hold the ball up, or it's just a star man who can bail you out of jail by scoring a goal or an assist. You need somebody who you know that you can give the ball to and they're never going to lose it. And Toni Kroos is just that for Germany. Even here in the 90th minute, he's playing the ball. He played it here, I believe, to Furyk, who came off the bench for Germany. But he doesn't just dazzle at his pass. He's constantly moving. On the blind side of Dominik Szoboszlai, receives the back pass, and then the other player is coming to press him. But at the same time, he recognizes that and then gives a lovely pass to Jonathan Tah. No effort, no stress, calm, keeping the game ticking, keeping the game flowing, always providing an option. That's all you need to do. That's all Toni Kroos does for you. He keeps the game moving. He keeps the game ticking. He knows when to quicken the game. He knows when to slow the game down. And by quickening the game up, it's very, very important to know when to do that, because it's a very key thing in football. Some players don't know how to do it. Some players know how to do it. Some players just have it. Some players don't. Somebody like Pedri just has it. They know when to slow the game down. They know when to quicken the game up. Luka Modric, Iniesta, Xavi, etc., etc. These players know when the game needs to be lulled down, and they know when the game needs to be brought back up to pace to be able to take advantage of any deficiencies in the opposition. Another example here, Toni Kroos receiving the ball deep. He has the position in a very, very good position for Germany. There's not much pressure on the ball. They have the ball. They're controlling the game. And then he just plays a lovely pass into Musiala. And to an extent, you can actually play a game of where's Toni Kroos going to pass next? And it was actually a very interesting game that I was playing throughout the time I was watching this, because you don't know where he's going to play it. If you give him enough time, he's going to play right through your team. If you press him, he's going to play it to somebody else who's going to have an angle to play a much better pass. So you're kind of in a lose-lose position. We move it on. Here, receiving the ball, he's lulling you into that sense of security. Here, he played a 1-2, I believe, with Robert Andrick, receives the ball back in this position. Here, we can think about it. Where is Toni Kroos going to pass to? Could pass to the left back. He could pass to Musiala. He could pass to his right back, or just, as I said, slow the game down, play it back to your center backs, assess the situation. What does he do? He plays a killer ball straight to Ilkay Gundogan. You cannot predict these things. You move it on again. Here, Hungary being pressed by a lovely, well-organized press from Germany. Toni Kroos picks up the scraps and he's not lulling about. He plays the ball quickly, moves it forward to Kai Havertz. And of course, the idea is that Toni Kroos plays backwards passes. He doesn't move the ball forward. This guy completed 124 passes in the game. From my records, he completed 74 forward passes. Now, these passes I defined as passes that move the team forward, that move you to the next state of the game. He completed, I believe, 24 sideways passes, which are passes that don't really change the dynamics of the game, and 12 backwards passes that meant his team had to retreat. Now, if you don't take my numbers and you don't take my judgment as gospel, FBref, one of the most reliable stat companies for football, said he completed 23 progressive passes. Those are passes that complete over 15 yards before they reach the man that it's intended to. 23. Bear in mind that Lionel Messi averages 10 progressive passes per game. Toni Kroos himself averages 11 progressive passes per game. In this game, he completed 23. That's almost 20% of his passes are generally moving the team to a better position attacking wise. And this is somebody who's basically playing left center back. Look, you move it on again. Here, playing a lovely pass to Musiala. I believe Musiala here played a 1-2 with Havertz, kind of fizzled out. Nothing really came of it. But you move it again. Here, keeping the game ticking. And this is what I mean about Toni Kroos. I'm going to move it back. In this position here, Dominik Szoboszlai is the one pressing. He's looking to cut out the passing lane to Musiala. Perfectly understandable thing for a player to do in this situation. But what does Toni Kroos do? He slows down, calms the game down. He watches Szoboszlai. What's he moving? What's he doing? And to an extent, when you're a top player, all the plaudits is going to Toni Kroos. But at the same time, you also need to praise the players that he's playing with. Because look at this situation here. Toni Kroos, he has the ball. Dominik Szoboszlai is cutting out the passing lane. Now Toni Kroos could recycle the ball, play it to center backs, as I said. But what does he do? He slows down. He takes a touch. He actually puts his foot on the ball. In the next part, by taking that foot on the ball and slowing the game down, Musiala recognizes that Dominik Szoboszlai is cutting out the passing lane. So he moves out of the way and he moves into a better position. Toni Kroos recognizes that and plays the pass. And now Musiala is in a position that he can actually find, and Toni Kroos has found Musiala. And I think this led to Musiala dribbling past 3 people, and then it led to a throw-in. Again, lulling you to a sense of security. He's playing in such a deep position. He's able to scan the whole field. He's able to take advantage when he sees fit. Do I slow the game down and keep the ball and we just keep it moving, we keep it going? Or do I actually play a killer pass that leads us to scoring a goal? You can't really contend with this. We move it on again. Here, this is something that he was doing throughout the game. There's a lovely skill move. I don't really know how to explain it to you guys without standing up, but it's kind of like you receive a pass and it looks as though you're going this way, and then he takes a touch that moves the ball slightly in front of him. His foot is no longer on the ball. Takes a touch, moves the ball this way. This screenshot will show it in the next slide. Takes that touch, moves it onto the other side. The defender is on the complete wrong side of the ball, and now he's bought himself time. He's bought himself space. He's changed the whole dynamic of the game. The game was moving this way before, now it's moving this way. Now he's taking that touch. Which pass does he play? Where do you think he's going to pass to? We're playing that game again. Where do you guys think? He's got Kimmich. He's got Andrik. He's got Wirtz. He's got the switch. Nope. He plays it straight to İlkay Gündoğan, who's making that run. Recognizes that Toni Kroos has changed the dynamic of the game. It was going left, now it's coming to my side, so I'm going to start moving. The defender doesn't recognize it in time, and it's a lovely pass that moves the game forward. It was a 1-2 with Musiala. Musiala played it to Florian Wirtz, fizzled out, didn't really create anything. But he's creating those chances for those attacking players. He's saying, I've done my bit. I've created the opportunity. I've created the man-to-man. I've created the overload. Now it's for you guys to go and take advantage of that overload. This is another perfect example of lulling you into that sense of security. In this game, generally, this man was actually having fun. Here, I didn't catch it in the screenshot, but he does a little fake pass where he kind of bends his foot onto the ground. And who do you think he was doing that for? İlkay Gündoğan, who's making that run towards the ball. Makes the defenders believe that he's going that way, and what does it do? It opens up space for a man who actually just played the ball to him, Florian Wirtz, in the next pass. Plays it directly to him. Now trust me, the ball did get to him in this screenshot. It doesn't look like it's going to get to him, but it does. And then he moves forward. I believe in this, he took a shot that went over the bar. Again, creating those chances, creating those overloads, lulling them into a sense of security, moving people out of position, and then striking when the time is right. You can't teach this. These passes are not for nothing. He's not just completing sideways and backwards passes for nothing. This man isn't doing anything special. All he's doing is the simple things at a very, very high level at a consistent rate. Look at this here. Receives the ball. Look at Toni Kroos. This is something the top players always do, and I always notice it every time I watch him individually. Look at his head. Where is he looking at? He's looking to the left side. What's on my left side? Before he's even gotten the ball, Antonio Rudiger at this point has already passed him the ball. Where am I looking at? Where is the ball going to? He receives the ball from Antonio Rudiger. He's looking over. Who's in space? Who's the man in space here? Who do you guys think? Again, we're playing that game. Who is Toni Kroos gonna pass to? I was having fun playing this game. Who does he pass it to? He plays it to Jamal Musiala. Now this might look familiar to those of you who watched the game because this was the pass that led to the goal. Musiala plays it out wide to Mittelstadt. Mittelstadt cuts it back, plays it to İlkay Gündoğan, and it's beautiful. Again, Another example here. Takes that beautiful touch that I talked about, going one way, bring it back inside. Plays it into congested area with Okay Gundogan. Gundogan plays that lovely 1-2 football. Him and Leroy Sané leads to a shot for Sané that was saved by Gulaci. Again, slowing the game down, quickening up. Slowing the game down, quickening up. He's elite. This guy is elite. You guys, I'm sorry. I was not a believer. I was not a believer. I'll be very firm. I always hear the statistics with Toni Kroos. It's been something that's been said throughout his career. He completes 100 passes. He takes 200 touches. He completes 2,000 progressive passes. I never believed it. I was never moved. Obviously, I always believed he was a good player. That was never the case. But the numbers, I always heard it. But I was like, he passes to his center backs most of the time. He passes to his midfielders most of the time. He's never playing that last pass. He's never playing the risky pass. But this game showed me that he does. He plays a lot of risky passes that may not seem risky because they're not the assist. They may not seem risky because they're not the pass that leads directly to a goal, unless you look a little bit deeper, which in this case I had to. Here, again, gets a ball from Jonathan Tah. Look at how high up the field he is. As I said before, he doesn't play one position. He's everywhere, always moving, always providing support, always being that spare man. Move it on again. In this game, one thing that I was very, very sad about was the fact that he didn't get to show that long ball ability that he has. I've seen it so many times for Real Madrid, and it made sense because one, Hungary are a very, very deep team, especially in this game. They were really deep throughout the game. Germany controlled the game from about the halfway line onwards throughout the game. Musiala and Wirtz are not people that are going to make runs in behind. They're typically people who like to receive the ball. But here, you see Leroy Sané running onto this ball. This ball was caught by Gulaci, unfortunately for him. But Leroy Sané making that run, making that endeavor to go in behind. And Toni Kroos recognizes it, plays it instantly. But of course, it was intercepted in this case. Two other occasions. In this occasion, if you can see the ball, it's pretty hard to see, but he plays the ball to Leroy Sané, switches the play, and then Leroy Sané is off. Constantly moving the ball, constantly playing the game, constantly making the opposition move around. And the conclusion that I really had from this entire video, watching this, which was very interesting for me to do, and these are the sort of things that I would love to continue to do for this channel, analyzing football at a deeper level that maybe some people will not. But we hear about all these things that footballers do, the wonderful goals, the bicycle kicks, the incredible natural ability, and we talk about the talent of a footballer. But I don't think we recognize that a lot of the things that many high-level footballers do is everyday things that you and I could probably do. The only difference is that they're doing it every single time. You can probably take a good first touch. You can probably play a 40-yard pinger. You could probably put the ball in the top right-hand corner. You could probably play a lovely 15-yard through ball to your striker. But can you do it 9 times out of 10? Probably not. Toni Kroos does these things 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10. And that's what makes him elite. And that's what's setting him aside from every other player at this tournament so far. And if this is his last ever tournament in football, which it seems like it is, he said he's going to be retiring, I'm going to savor every single moment that we have left with this guy.